All right. Thanks. What's up? What's up? Thanks for joining me. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. We only got about 8 more minutes to 7 o'clock Eastern time here. And you're listening to the Lawyer Henderson podcast. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. We're not going to be taking no calls tonight, but we're going to be going into a lot of things. Well, not a lot of things because I'm going to be short here. Next week, I'll be broadcasting from Los Angeles. Yay, yay. I'll be headed out to Los Angeles, so I'll be broadcasting there next week. So, thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to the channel family. Man, we basically is in the building. Shouts out to everyone who is basically, you know, sharing and liking our page. Let me get the cash up here. I'll do that. All right, so thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Now, today, it's important because we still have to wake up those black folks who are still not woke. Still have to talk about the so-called black conservatives and black liberals. See, these people who stand in our way, blaming each other, talking about, oh, it's the Democrats. No, it's the Republicans. See, that kind of nonsense because they want us not to challenge and talk about the real issue, and that is white supremacy. So we're going to be talking about that, man. It is, let's see, where, oh, I didn't get my book here. But anyway, yeah, foolish American politics. Let's discuss the issue. Is still out there, still on sale. We're not taking no calls today. But family, we're going to talk about why black folks play dumb to racism and why a lot of I won't say a lot, but some black folks who are just basically not wanting to get it. They just want to stay foolish and stupid and dumb to racism that it's just really no hope for them. You see, there's just really nothing you can do to change their mind. They are really just going to just, say that racism doesn't exist. They're gonna always say that no matter what. Now, some of these people have been basically financed by, the white supremacists or these white folks who like to finance these black conservatives. Well, we're going to get in talking about that a little bit later when we deal with this David, what's this dude's name? David Webb from, we found out. It was interesting. I was looking like, what is this man talking about that there's no institutionalized racism? And he said that they had invited Al Sharpton or somebody to this debate, and Al Sharpton didn't show up or whatever. And hell, they should have just called me. I would have showed up. What you mean? See, this is the thing. White people like these Negroes who like to feed them lies. You know what I'm saying? They like these black folks who like to, go around telling white people that, oh, everything is okay and black people are not mad about the position they're in, and they like to basically talk this black conservative crap to a host of white folks and to keep them calm, if you will, and to get everybody thinking that everything is good in America, and it's not, especially the race relations. In fact, race relations have constantly been a focal point, and we're talking about a lot of people who are waking up to white supremacy. So therefore, we do have a lot of issues. Now, I want to start you all off on something that Sista Soulijah, when she was, I think this was on the Tony Brown show. Remember Tony Brown back in the days? But I'm not sure. But they had a, where is the white? They had a, a meeting, like a meeting of the minds. Everybody get together, everybody talking about Black issues. We've been talking and talking and talking. We really have been really coming together to do nothing but just keep talking about issues. But I wanted to start our podcast out today by letting you listening to Sista Soulijah. Now she says good white people do not exist, and she told us back in the 90s.
Against white racism that murders African people around this entire globe. It doesn't exist. So who are these white good people? I want to meet them. I want to see them.
That might be all we can get.
No. And guess what? I don't work with all I can get. You have to have some confidence in the power of African people amongst ourselves. The majority of millions of African youth in this country are dying mentally, dying spiritually, dying emotionally, dying academically. And you may have a program, Mr. Brown may have a program, but what we got to talk about is an American government that tracks millions of African people. And if we are not honest enough to say who are our friends, who are our enemies, to know what a friend is, to know what an enemy is, we will constantly be trying to get into people's parties, to shake our butts with them, to get them to like us, and that's not the question.
Right. So she called that out back in the 1980s, 90s, at that point. And that's exactly what we were doing in the 90s. We were trying to get a part of the Democratic Party. We tried to get a part of the Republican Party, calling ourselves Black conservatives. And Sista Soulijah said something that was very important. She called it out, shaking our tails and basically, doing these dances like they were doing during the Tulsa race riot celebration down there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You've seen Sheila Jackson Lee, doing all that plantation dancing and stuff. When do it comes a time, you see, here's the thing. The old dead Black media, the civil rights leaders and stuff, they wanting to die comfortably and move away from, just dying peacefully. They basically have no real solutions for the young generation. And we've been past knowing that, right? So they're going to keep on just telling us, oh, it's all about voting. And they're going to toss out people like John Lewis on us, or they're going to just keep on talking about voting. Notice everybody else is talking about finances. They're talking about building businesses. They're talking about there's problems, there are issues. They're talking about, moving up the ladder as far as economics, ownership, a business and property, as I mentioned. They're really talking about how we continue to grow. While we get thrown as, oh, you niggers, we're going to fight for your right to vote. We're going to basically make sure you niggers get an opportunity to get away to the ballot. And we're going to get you these vaccines and stuff like that. See, here's the thing. You see, this is this tired stuff that the youth is sick and tired of. That you have a group of Black people, and this is the reason why you don't look at the older Black generation. They're not adults to us. They're operating like children. White daddy and white mommy has to give them the information that they need, and then they kept on, feeding this and drowning this down our necks, right? That's the reason why, sometimes when we learn the truth about their version of Christianity, we have left the church, right? So now they said, well, damn, hell, we can't trick the younger generation, so we'll just go out there and start shooting them. We'll basically let some thugs and some gangbangers out of jail, and they go around randomly shooting some innocent black person on the street, so they can say, well, you see, you niggers, y'all are violent, and that's why we need the police. You understand? So what we are basically looking at is we basically see as younger, especially us who are 41 and younger, we actually see, most of us actually see the propaganda. You understand? And and like I said in that video, Sista Soulijah and all these other people, we really, back in the 1990s, we were really telling the truth about this stuff. You know, when Dr. Claude Anderson was talking about why we needed reparations back in the 1990s, you know, that committee already had the substantial information and evidence that they needed that, you know, to give us our reparations. You see, and all this just bull crap about talking about, well, you niggas, y'all don't need anything. What y'all need is a hug. What black people need, why y'all black folks, y'all need a hug. You know, you had, you know, Tahisi Coates out there talking about that black people don't want money and reparations, while black people want a hug. You see, Sheila Jackson Lee was screening these Negroes because these Negroes have been defeated. You know, to really have a real discussion on what we are owed, that takes, you know, guts for any black person who are talking about black leadership to come out and tell white people, listen, this is what we're owed for 465 years of chattel slavery. You see, y'all are in y'all position because y'all enslaved a whole people that y'all never ever made whole again. You understand? That's the reason why they're propping out these so-called black conservatives. Have you noticed these black conservatives? They are always talking about education. They'll talk about certain they'll talk about foolish stuff about, well, two-parent household. We don't have that in the black community no more. See, this is why they basically white people finance them, these black conservatives, on the right arm of white supremacy. You see, because they would use these propaganda, and then you have the white liberals who will bring their own propaganda. Before you know it, black people are still, you know, confused. But see, you have the grassroots out there. What we're doing is not only is we're not confused, but we're out there speaking truth to power, and we're actor in the race soldier's face. So now what they have to do is they are literally shooting and trying to shoot and kill us down because the grassroots have mobilized and made it effective that we're not just going to take this abuse no more, you see. And so what the white supremacists from the right is doing is they are having Negroes coming out here like David Webb, and David Webb to suggest that the United States is not institutionally racist. Now, just think about that for a moment. I ain't gonna be long, but I gotta stay strong here. Yeah, speaking of, I wanted to talk about that. The Haitian president was assassinated, right? And that was pretty, you know, we know who did that, you know. See, one of the things we have to understand is that we basically, when we have black people, let's say in politics or even around the world, when they start speaking truth, have you noticed that they, you know, we all notice they start ending up dead somewhere. You find them shot, killed, assassinated. And that's, you know, but we hear these white folks always tell us all the time, you niggers, y'all need to start doing for yourself, pulling yourself up from your own boots, even though we don't have boots to pull ourselves up. But even when we begin to start trying to focus on something, here they come saying, oh, it's racist for you niggers to come together and talk about y'all going to build your own city. You understand? These folks are always doing stuff like that, man. You niggers are talking about reparations, well, they'll ask the question like, well, should we get reparations for fighting in the Civil War for y'all? Hell no. Number one, the North was winning. I mean, losing, and needed black men to go out there and help fight. So we thought that Lincoln was going to set us free if we came on board to help Lincoln fight off the British, right? So no, y'all don't deserve reparations for claiming that y'all are fighting for us for our liberation. Hell, we're still in the same predicament here. And then after we got back from helping y'all from war, in certain instances, we came back home to lynching. You understand? So thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. But I want y'all to hear this so-called black conservative. I call them so-called black conservative because they still haven't answered the question as to what makes a black conservative and what do a black conservative conserve. Now, we're just going to talk about this clown. His name is David Webb. And I'm going to let y'all listen to David Webb, man. This man here, you see, white people know how to prop up their black flunkies on the right side. They also know how to prop up their flunkies on the left side of white supremacy. The liberals also do the same thing. So what we have to understand is that we have to be very, very careful. See, and this is the reason why they call me the Black C-SPAN. Let's talk about this. Let's go deep. For those of y'all who are part of Black intellectual society, let's listen to this coon. Let's listen to this coon, David Webb. Let's listen to what he had to say. We'll talk about it. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me push my play here.
Thank you, Madam President.
Uh-oh.
Ladies, gentlemen.
Come on.
Thank you. Before I address the narrative, the emotion, the misconceptions, the misused facts or badly applied facts that have been put out here tonight, I'd like to start with a simple quote. There is a class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Mm. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs. There is a certain class of race problem solvers who don't want the patient to get well. That was said by Booker T. Washington. This is an esteemed body, one that sponsors and invites debate. Yet just an hour or so ago, someone who was invited to this body to test his mettle, a chief person to the right hand of Barack Obama, to the right hand of Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York, to, in many ways, as he puts it, the right side of the Blacks in America, Al Sharpton, accepted and then refused to come and debate for this body. Attorney General Eric Holder, Attorney General of the United States, said that America is a nation of cowards when it comes to race. In fact, what we stand here and do today, and what someone like Al Sharpton does not do, shows that the cowardice lies with those who would push a narrative, demand retribution when none is required, but do not show up to face the public, either those who support them or detractors. Why is that important to what we do here today? It has been said before, but I will repeat it. The proposition that America is institutionally racist requires that something creates an environment. Two things create an environment for slavery or racism, and they are needed for it to exist. One is a social contract, as in the South during slavery. Two, codified law. Neither of those things exist in American culture today. And in fact, if they did exist as such, then the UK would also be guilty of same. The British Social Attitudes Survey of 2001, 25% of Brits are very or little prejudiced against people of other races. In 2013, 30% of Brits are very little prejudiced against people of other races. I also reject.
Now, hold on.
Very little.
He said that Britain is less racist now. You're talking about the same Britain who basically was worried about Prince Harry and having any type of drop of black blood in with the baby that he was going to have with he had with what's her name, this Markle lady. This is what we're talking about. So if Great Britain was not racist, why is they have taken all of the royalty from the family, the royal family, Prince Harry? You know what I'm saying? Why they're worried about the Prince Harry and having a son or a daughter that may have a speck of blood that is black inside him if they have became less racist. David Webb, can you explain this? Now, see, this David Webb dude, he is a anchor on Fox News. He got his own show on Fox News, so that explains a lot about that. Then, on top of that, David Webb have been financed by these white supremacists. This is the reason why they get these fools like him to come out and speak this crap. Okay, but let's continue.
Percent of Brits are very or little prejudiced against people of other races.
Wow, really?
In 2013, 30% of Brits are very little prejudiced against people of other races. I also reject that because it is a survey. It is a poll. It is not a reflection of the British community, nor is it a reflection of the American community. The issues of racism and prejudice will always exist. That is something we can state honestly and factually. It is how we get to the solutions that matter.
Okay, stop right there. See, this is the problem. See, this is the reason why Negroes like him exist. If you're saying that racism does not exist, then why do we need solutions? You understand? See, fools like him is why we as black folks have been placed in a position where we basically have to constantly say to white people, yeah, racism is existing. Okay, the fact is that it's existing in your institutions. Okay, racism, white people don't have to call y'all niggers no more. They don't have to call us niggers no more. They basically make sure that their racism is more institutionalized. You can have a white person who don't have to use the N-word at all. But if he has a system where he is setting up the system and he's making the rules and he's telling you, hey, well, we're not going to hire you. You're like, well, why are you not going to hire me? I qualify for it. All he has to do is look at that application and see that it has what's your race. That's the first thing they add. Well, not the first thing, but they eventually get to asking you on your application your race. That's one of the biggest things that they basically make sure that they do. White people are the first to call out race on everything. They have to rely upon only bringing in a selective number of people when it comes to institutions. You understand? So racism is embedded in these institutions, and for him to sit there and say it's not, and to say that that's going to always be racism, then why is it that you're talking about, let's talk about the solutions? See, this is crazy. This is problematic. But let's continue what he is talking about here.
They said, I've never felt so close to the
Hold on.
possibility.
Add some thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and
It is
subscribe.
how we get to the solutions that matter.
There again, why we need solutions if there's not no
Abraham
problems.
Lincoln, as my colleague said, fought a war to preserve the Union. That republic allowed for the people of the United States under our Constitution to amend it, therefore removing slavery, and then moving forward to the Voting and Civil Rights Act, and also the suffrage movement for women. These are great acts in our society. The issues that plague blacks in America, or anyone who is disadvantaged,
All right, watch
have
this.
too many factors for me to address in 8 minutes
Oh,
or
man.
8 hours.
Ah,
But in our society, we continue to address them with actions,
this is the
not with narrative,
All right, watch
not
this.
with conspiracy theories about DEA creating drugs,
Oh,
or
man.
not with conspiracy theories about agencies forming groups to go after blacks in some way.
There's
There
not a
are
conspiracy
examples I can
theory,
count.
man. Come on.
One, by the way, by one of the speakers, just for a point of information,
That's not, come
George
on.
Zimmerman was not a police officer, therefore
That doesn't mean nothing. The
example,
police protect him. The whole system
using wrong
protected him.
examples to
See,
present
hold on. See, this is, so he said George Zimmerman was not a police officer. That might be true, but a whole system makes sure that George Zimmerman get off. Why? Because he identified as a white Hispanic, man. Come on, man. This guy here is playing games with
just
us.
nowhere forward. I understand the emotion, and I respect my opposition. But when you go into the areas of making false charges and living in the past,
It's not no
you do not
false.
address the
We're not
issues of
living in the
present.
past, man.
In
We're
the
living
present,
in the future, man. Come on.
and factually so. And you can do the research regardless. This is not a political issue. It is not a one or the other issue. It is a very complex, nuanced issue.
Man, come
If
on.
you find in your heart that America is not advanced as a nation, then you must accept that Britain has not advanced as a nation.
And it has
that
not.
all of the world,
Both of
in
them
the
are
first world is not
anti-black
advanced
racists.
in any manner. Therefore, you must accept that all is static and societies never change for the better or the worse. To anyone who believes that America is institutionally racist, I'll challenge you to do this. Go into communities and deal with problems by examining the roots of those problems.
Okay, here he go.
Foundation.
Listen to what he's about to say. What's the
The
roots?
foundation of many problems
The
starts with
foundation.
the individual, and there are factors.
No.
There are factors of education. It is right to say that there are disadvantaged people in America. 13% of the population is black, 17% Hispanic, majority white, and mixed other race, Asian at 3%. But when you take a look at the problem, you must address the foundation and the factors. Education, a family structure. In the 1960s, 80+% of blacks were two-parent homes. Today,
That's not the
completely
issue,
There's
man.
a lot of factors, which includes entitlement systems, the growth of liberalism to a point of progressivism beyond.
And that's the typical.
Course.
That's the typical
Educate
white.
anyone of any ethnicity.
That's the typical. See, this man was given a script by the white supremacists. That's the typical lie that they tell you, that everything, the problematic that black folks are going through is educational wise. That's a lie. That is a lie. This is the issue here, and he knows it, man. These people, man, they have been propped up by the white supremacists from the far right, that they just don't, they basically don't want to understand the facts and truth. You see, so we have to basically, on the grassroots and the black media, wake them up to the facts. We have to keep on educating them on why we should listen to no black liberal, no black conservative, a black independent, or anybody who talking that political stuff, talking about, well, the reason why black people are in the position they're in is because of education. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Had we got our wealth for 465 years, and had we got reparations or our 40 acres and a mule, and if we would have got that money and then mess it up, then you can make the arguments that black people, it's your fault because we gave you money and blah, blah, you messed it up. But since that did not happen, you cannot go and say that the root of the foundation is that black people, well, in the 1960s was 80% of family-headed households. That's not the facts of the situation. That's not why black people are living in poverty. We have basically been under a lot of anti-black hatred and racism. The government makes sure that they keep us away from resources. They make sure that black people do not get access to resources. That has been a government policy. Benign and neglect is a government policy. This man don't know what he's talking about, man. But see, but let me tell you about this dude. David Webb is on the Daily Show that Science Radio, XM, Patriot 125. He watched Reality Check with David Webb. He is a Fox News host and contributor. That tells you all about him. That tells you all about this fool. You understand? So he said that the root of the problem is that, well, in the 1960s, black people, y'all used to be married. What happened? Man, even if we were together in the 80% of 1980s, we were striving in those in specific counties, but they firebombed those towns. Every time that black people came together and did something, white folks would come and destroy it because they did not want us to progress in this city. It's just like those two sisters who came together to buy that purchased that land for the 97 acres of land they bought here in Georgia. And you already had some white folks out there talking about, well, what if we done it? We would be called racist. Man, y'all have those institutions. Y'all have communities and jurisdictions where black people can't go and stay because you outprice and outbid them on their homes. If you you go ahead and say, well, we're going to charge $400,000 so to make sure that you don't come in our community to live. And that's what they do. Every time that we have tried to do something together and collectively, white people have came and interfered with it and firebombed it and blew it down. Dr. Claude Henderson talks about a lot of things that happened. It wasn't just Tulsa, Oklahoma, that we had striving businesses. We had striving businesses in Wilmington, in Atlanta. We have, I think, something that we had in Chicago, other places. There was a lot of, black massacres, not just Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're celebrating Tulsa, Oklahoma like that was the only massacre that we had specifically where black people were advancing in economics and had black communities where the economic system was striving. No, we had a lot of black massacres where white women were accusing black men of rape, lying and stuff, where these white men would come and firebomb our, businesses and homes and stuff. See, but this man is playing. He goes on to say that 81% of blacks were in two-parent household back in the 1960s, which I just said. And now that's a reversal, he was saying, that now it's less than 42%. And then on top of that, the 42% of black people who are still, who is married and all that, they really don't have no income either. Let's talk about of this 42% of black people now who basically really don't have no income. They're really not in a middle class situation, So that we've talked about that in the black media for a very long time. A black middle class. There's no such thing as a black middle class because we don't have the same wealth. You understand? They're basing their income on how much money that they got from their jobs and the areas in which they stay, but that's not being black middle class. Hit that cash out if you're on. Like, share, and subscribe, man. Show your support to the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. We are the Black CNN, not the Black CNN, but the Black C-SPAN. No, but thumbs up, family. We're going to continue to listen to what this nut. He's almost done, which is good, because he said that Al Sharpton and them refused to come to debate him, and they were at some college or whatever, where the debate was about the United States is not institutionally racist. That was a debate, and he claimed that Al Sharpton didn't want to show up or whatever. But anyway, had he called me, I would have showed up, Anyway, let's listen to what this fool have to say.
A single mother has a higher likelihood, significantly, of being in poverty, therefore raising a child in poverty. I'm addressing foundation because it is easy to argue, as my colleagues have, the emotion, the misapplication of facts, and the narratives. But if we do not address the foundation of a problem, and we have in America, we will not advance as a society. And to correct a misspeak by my colleague Charlie Wolf, he tried to correct himself in amongst the cheers and the cheers. He meant to say America is not perfect, but working towards a more perfect union. And that is something we can all take as human beings. Look for solutions. Do not fall into false claims. Do not follow charlatans. Do not follow shakedown artists who want to draw you into arguments rather than have true on substance. And that is what we're here to do. I thank you for the invitation. I thank you for having me. And I want to leave you with this thought. We talk about skin color. Our skin is an organ. It does not think. It does not formulate ideas. It is merely the genetic result of our parents. Our ability to use our brain and reason in a free society, such as in America, is why we have overturned the blight and the negative aftermath of racism that began with colonial slavery. America is a land of opportunity, as promised in our Declaration of Independence, and preserved legally in our Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We have amended our Constitution, and we have evolved as a nation. Our people stand proud to support and defend opportunity and freedom for all. Thank you, President Whedon. Thank you to the members of this body, my colleagues, and my opposition.
See, so that was the Oxford Union Society. I think that's Oxford University. See, they like Negroes like that. You see, the Democrats, they basically got people like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson and stuff. Then you have the Republicans. They have people like this fool, David Webb. They got, Jesse Lee Peterson. They have their black bootleg Negroes on the right and left. You understand? And let's be very clear that both of them keep other black people from progressing with this lie that things are getting better. See, we have bought into white people's definition of things getting better when it is not getting better. It is getting worse for black people. By year 2053, black people will have became destitute. There will be no wealth. Our so-called $1.8 trillion per year will go down to zero. It's because we keep on trying to integrate. And that's not, that's not what this game is about. Social integration. That's not what this game is about. Okay? It's about aggregation, as Dr. Claude Anderson pointed out. Aggregation. We basically is riding on the lie that it will get better, that things get better. As we have basically saw in the past, that people have regressed in history as well, as Amos Wilson taught us. People just don't progress in history. People regress in history, which means that you can basically be set back into Jim Crow. This is not like I've been told you on this channel. This is not the first time we had civil rights laws in place. What is this fool talking about? You understand? And so now they're even doing this thing currently where instead of giving us laws that passed like the George Floyd Act, instead of giving us our reparations, they're they're passing laws for Asians. And like he said, it's only 3% of them. You see, this anti-hatred that they have against black folks have always been there, and it's not going away. It doesn't matter if you try to pretend like things are getting better. Your definition as white folks are telling me that things are getting better. That your definition is basically pointless and baseless, because I'm the only one who can determine whether or not my life is getting better based up on this society, despite having to work harder, climb over all these obstacles that we have in our way as black folks in order to just achieve certain things. You understand? Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. I won't be long, but I'm going to stay strong. So we have a host of a lot of complaints and grievances, and rightfully so. The grievances that we have is that we want our 40 acres and a mule. Understand? And what we're doing is we're showing up to these white supremacists' homes who are calling us out, like that clown K-Me, what's his dude who basically told us to show up at his home. It's good that we're doing that, but we still have to focus on what Dr. Claude Anderson talked about, and that is the economic situation here. We have to stay on the economic situation, okay? And that's why you see not only me, but you also see Tone Talks. He breaks down certain types of percentages, and he gives you a vision of where white wealth is versus where black wealth is, right? He gives us those graphs and diagrams so we can understand as black people where we are in our fight and our struggle for economics. because we do struggle to try to gain power, but we get this setback from the dominant society. Okay, so thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Hold on. So, so another thing that this Webb dude talked about, he wants to use, he basically, see, the causes, there's a such thing as causes and effects. Okay, everything that this man named is basically where what causes us to basically be in this situation. He claims it's education. Black people are very much educated. Black women are the most educated women, people in the world, in this country, I should say. Okay, and yet still are facing poverty. We have 2 million Black people who graduate from college that basically is still living in shelters here. So education, obviously, is not necessarily the real issue and the foundation of our problem here. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. See, anytime you get the Republicans and they find some Negro to spew out this lie, you first have to check this dude's credentials. Where did this David Webb come from? You see, you have to check out this man's credentials. You see, if you can't check out his credentials, then you know that when he is spewing lies about the problems and issues with Black folks struggling is education, you know that he is reading from a white racist Republican script. You understand? You know that everything that he is saying, he is basically coming from Fox News on. And this is why these Negroes from the white wing exist, calling themselves Black conservative. They exist because they are puppeteers for the white supremacists from the right. Somebody talk Black to me. So it's not education. If it was education, then Black women will not be struggling as well as Black men in this situation, which I just mentioned. They're the most educated women, people in America. So when you talk about the root of our causes, the root of our causes come that we were not paid. Our ancestors was not paid for 465 years of chattel slavery, where they can pass down to their children, generation after generation, the wealth that white people not only was given and handed, that all of the land and resources that white people stole. You see, white people stole wealth. Their whole history of stealing has been the real basics as to why they're in the position they're in. Murder, rape, and all other kinds of things. They have been placed in that position because they have been the biggest thieves that the world has ever known. And you cannot basically try to justify our problems by claiming that we lack education and we lack a 2-parent household. And then try to say, well, since I only have 8 minutes, I can sum it up. No. 8 minutes may not be a long time, but see, in a sense then, you gave us your 2 vital points. which you already know that your two arguments was foolish and bullsh. You understand? But what he gave us is his. Let me pause here because ScrewTube is messing up my channel here. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. You know, ScrewTube is messing with me here. They're pausing my channel. That means I'm doing something good. That means I'm talking real black here. So white people have a history of stealing. And in 1850s, remember when they basically had white people to supposedly having to help to set up the loans when the loans were supposed to be produced for black slaves of the Freedmen's Bureau. Remember they set that up? Well, you had a group of white folks who were supposed to manage, that were stealing all the money. They stole millions of dollars from those free slaves during the 1850s, during this Freedmen's Bureau when it was set up. And then white people came from Europe and other places to the United States. They didn't come up here just to basically talk about freedom and liberty. They came up here to get resources. And they were stealing land. And if they did pay for land, they got it for pennies on a dollar. So white people, so when you sat in a group of white people like this black dude just did, and you lie, trying to tell white folks that no, there's nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong. You shouldn't be feeling sorry for yourself just because you inherit wealth. Yes, they should, because they have stolen property. They have stolen money. They basically know this. And you cannot really get any black person to speak truth to power. In fact, they don't want the black grassroots to come on CNN, to come to these debates so that we can make white folks uncomfortable with the facts. You see, that's the reason why these Negroes get an opportunity to come to their little debates, you see. And we look at all of the things that they have done to black people, the history of it, and you will see where we lie as far as our economic situation. Are we getting smart? Some of us, yes. Some of us is waking up to the propaganda. But you got a lot of black folks who still want to go out there and party, who's scared to face the music, and who basically, it doesn't matter what white daddy and white mommy says, they're going to believe it because it's coming from a white person's mouth. Excuse me. So I'm speaking fire here tonight. And ScrewTube don't like that. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. I ain't going to be long, but I got to stay strong. So, family, we got to stop being afraid to tell the truth. We have to start speaking truth to power. You understand? And speaking truth to power means is that we should not be embarrassed to call out what white supremacists are doing. And if these bootlicking, butt-dancing Negroes want to stand in our way, we call them out as well. You see, we are owed, according to economists, we are owed $17 trillion in reparations. Damn. Okay, $17 trillion. That's how much money that black people are owed for reparations. Huh? I said 17 trillion with a T. So when this David comes and talks about the problem is that we are we don't have two-parent household, or the problem is that we basically lack education. He is basically reading the white supremacist script. You understand? And that's something that is very dangerous for us, allowing these bootlicking Negroes to justify white racism. Now let's look at it. The $17 trillion that we are owed from this country. Just think about that kind of wealth that we had if we had that wealth, right? Just think about what Black people can do. Now, Black people have always done things with just a little money. Remember, we didn't have that much money when we did in the Tulsa race riot in Wilmington, Delaware. Black folks didn't have it that much money, but what we did was we took our money and we pulled our resources together, and we build and build and build, and we kept our money within our communities where we were able to strive. And some white people had to come and get loans from Black banks at that time. But when this white woman accused a Black man of rape, giving these white people, these thugs, the opportunity to come and firebomb those townships and those businesses. And then you saw how the government helped them. You see, the government has always been behind the hatred for Black people. The redlining, the benign and neglect, enslavement, Jim Crow, Reconstruction, separate but equal, all of these institutions or these laws were all backed up by the government. That's the reason why we say the government owe us $17 trillion. That's 17. That's 17 with a T, trillion dollars. You understand? So Black people, we gotta not be afraid to speak truth to power. We gotta stop trying to think that just because a white person said, oh, that makes it true. But when a Black person said, oh, nigga, you're not telling the truth, I'm gonna wait until white daddy and white mommy say something about it. Well, when it comes to our reparations, they're never gonna tell you the truth about that. Why do you think they got these bootlicking, butt dancing Negroes out here speaking for them? You understand? So what we have to understand is we are, as Dr. Claude Anderson talked about, is an exceptional people. And let it be known that we are not only an exceptional people, everybody has stolen our culture from us. They have stolen our culture and they have sold things back to us. Shout out if you're adding money to the Cash App. That's $ Lawyer Henderson 40. Add to the Cash App. But if we basically was able to come together again, like these young ladies doing that purchased the 97 acres of land, I think the Black folks will again be able to have a small town where we're building it, we're controlling it, we're running it, we develop it, we basically dictate the rules, the city court laws or the ordinances, and give a real personification about how a town should run. Have all kinds of Black people come in that city every now and then on vacations, build a small that town up, go down there when you want to get away from white supremacists. and just enjoy ourselves. You see, and I'm gonna give an update on where those sisters are. I probably want to bring them on to talk about how that town in Georgia, Toonsboro, Georgia, they're calling it Freedom City. You see, something like that was very powerful. You see, and right now, as I understand, there's still no development on the property. But see, if they had a lot of other Black folks who was willing to donate and to put their resources together, then we basically could have something that we can say that we could be proud of. It would go back, it would harken back and remind us of when we built up cities like Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Greenwood community, Wilmington, Delaware, and Chicago. It says your connection is unstable. Please wait. ScrewTube have been just messing with me all day. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end this. But before we do, I want you to understand, as Black folks, develop your own mind. Stop thinking that just because white people said it, that it's automatically true or it's automatically false. You see, there's a lot of Black folks who have woke up because of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, but we still have those Black people who still have not made it yet to Black intellectual society, and we're trying to get them there. You see, the old dead Black media, the civil rights generation, let them do what they do. They're basically not going to. We can't basically bring them on. It's already too late for them. The older Black generation have already made up their mind that they're just going to lay down and die. Most of them. Not all, but most of them. You understand? So what we have to understand is that, family, we got to take the initiative to think for ourselves, to do for ourselves, to bring our resources together. And it just don't have to be just, it have to be 2 or 3 million Black folks. Man, if we had only about 300 or 400 Black people just doing one specific thing, that could change the entire situation of Black folks. Just about us coming together, putting our money and our resources together to build something, right? And that's what the white supremacists don't want. They get sick and tired of every time that we try to pull ourselves from our bootstraps like they suggest, they start getting upset. They start saying, that's racist. What if we as white folks went out and did that, So family, don't worry about what the white supremacists say. Okay, be able to think for yourself. Come to the Black Intellectual Society forums that's on Black YouTube or on YouTube and look and listen to all the Black media that has ran your old dead Black media to the ground. That got your old dead Black media trying to become Black again. Okay, Mark Lamoise Mott Hill being chased out of the neighborhood. Roly Poly Martin no longer a factor in the Black media. Black Enterprise, all of these people, they have been ran out of town because the old dead Black media don't have no substance. They don't have no relationship with the Black grassroots. You understand? Somebody talk Black to me. So what we have to understand is that the white supremacists are desperate. They're upset with us right now. We have a lot of people on code, but we have Black folks who are not on code. And so we're trying to bring in some more Black people, get them on code, get them out there understanding the truth, speaking truth to power. And that's where we are now. You understand? So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this podcast. And damn, man. Hold on. I'm going to close out this podcast and leave your comments and like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.